welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about how to pronounce the letter T when it comes in the middle of words. And I'll tell you what I'm talking about in a little bit. Now, the letter T can be a little bit of a trickster in the English language. So if you even take my name for an example, which is Tracy, you'll see that the letters aren't pronounced exactly as what you would think. In the case of my name, you would get a ch sound as opposed to a t sound. But I'll save that for another video because today I do want to focus on the letter T in the middle of words. And I want to share with you a story about how I learned the hard way about what happens if you don't pronounce this letter how you would expect for it to be pronounced in the middle of words, how that can lead to a little bit of trouble. So when I was in high school, I had to give a presentation in front of a class. And so I got up there and I had prepared. I spent a lot of time rehearsing what I was going to say. And I thought that I was ready to give this presentation. And so this word kept coming up over and over within the presentation. After a while, I noticed that people were staring at me and I didn't really think much of it. And all of a sudden, somebody in the class yelled out loud. They said, "What did you say?" And at first I thought they were trying to tell me that my voice was too soft. So as if I had a bullhorn, I started speaking louder. And so I keep going and eventually the word comes up again and it's this word. This is how I pronounced it at the time, cotton. After a while, the same person who asked me, "What did you say?" said, "Oh, you mean cotton." And then the whole class started laughing and I said, "Oh, I thought that's what I said." And they said, "We thought you were saying coffin this whole time." So it was a little bit of a silly story and I can laugh about it now. At the time, I was very, very embarrassed because the whole time on my presentation, people were focusing on something else other than what I was trying to say. Let's talk about this sound that comes in the middle of words, and it's actually called the glottal stop, but it's not important to know the name of it right now as much as it is important to know how to pronounce it and when to pronounce it. So let's look at the example of the word I used in my presentation, cotton. This sound is produced when you close off air from coming out of your throat and your mouth briefly, and then you release and say the rest of the word, okay? So instead of cotton, where you can hear a t sound in the middle, you say basically the first half of the word you stop, and it's almost as if a fly gets stuck in your throat. I know that's a weird example to imagine, but that's pretty much how you produce the sound. So and then you finish the rest of the word in, okay? Cotton. So instead of cotton, it's cotton, okay? And you're not gonna pause when you say it. You just say it smoothly all together. So cotton. Another example of this sound is in the word eaten, right? Same thing. You're not going to say eaten. That's not natural sounding in the American dialect of speaking English. Instead, you would say eaten. And I do want to give you one more example because I want you to get how these words are pronounced with this particular dialect. So again, let's look at the word satin. Looking at it, you might think that it's pronounced satin, but actually within the general American dialect, you would say satin. Now, just so you can get a real feel for how these words are used, I want to give you some examples of these words in sentences. So if you were having a conversation with someone and they asked you, "Have you had anything to eat today?" you would say, "Yes, I've eaten." Again, I want to pronounce it how you might think it's pronounced. I've eaten. But that's not the natural way in this particular dialect. So you would say, "I've eaten." Let's move on to the next word. If you were having a conversation with someone, they could ask you, "Oh, that's a nice shirt. What material is it made of?" And you would say, "It's satin." So I hope this gave you a little bit more of information of how to pronounce this letter T when it appears in certain words in the middle of the word. So that's it for today. If you found this helpful, go ahead and like this video, share it, and subscribe so you can get more videos.